Hello and welcome to today's video. So, thanks to my friend George, I've got to share with you today a complete collection of the Virgin Doctor Who New Adventures novels, and boy oh boy are they fantastic. They're in exceptional condition and, well, we've got every single one to have a look at today. So sit back, relax and let's get to it. Okay then, so the New Adventure series were published by Virgin Publishing, and they continued the story of the Doctor from the point where the series had sort of gone into hiatus at the end of 1989, and there was a real lack of new material, and Virgin were more than happy to step in and take the cream of upcoming and established authors and bring brand new Doctor Who adventures. So the series ran from 1991 to 1997, and all the books bar the final one involved the Seventh Doctor, of course played by Sylvester McCoy. And the final book, The Dying Days, that was the only one that was actually featuring the Eighth Doctor as portrayed in the 1996 TV movie by Paul McGann. There were some further books published between 1997 and 1999, which we will have a look at, and those new adventure books focus on the character Bernice Summerfield, and the Doctor does not appear at all. So these four here were the original four sort of novels that were published. These were the first two. So we got Time Worm Genesis was number 1, and Time Worm Exodus by Terrance Dicks was book 2. These were both established Doctor Who authors. John Peel had written for the classic series a couple of adaptations, and Terrance Dicks had written countless ones under the Target imprint. And then we've got Nigel Robinson, of course, was the editor of Target books back in the day. And Paul Cornell was, although at the time an up-and-coming author, he had written extensively for fan publications and was already a really, really great writer. See, this one was signed. So back in the day, as these books were being published, myself and my business partner George, we ran a shop in Plymouth called Purple Haze, and we sold all these Doctor Who books as they were brand new and being published. And this is, in actual fact, George's collection that I've borrowed to go through and show you these today. And we had Paul Cornell down for a signing when these were being published, and a lot of George's ones have been signed by Paul. That says a signed one on the back there. So these initial 4 books were super successful, and the series after this became published bi-monthly, every 2 months. Starting with book number 11, they then went monthly, so they were a real success. So now we've got another little sort of mini series. We've got Cat's Cradle, which is the name of the series, and Time's Crucible. And we got Warhead, Andrew Cartmel, lots of familiar names you're going to see here. And the third one, Witchmark, Andrew Hunt. Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful artwork. And these were much more aimed at the sort of adult Doctor Who fan. So I think what this was, a lot of these authors had sort of grown up. Certainly I know Paul Cornell, he's just a couple of years older than me. And I remember going to the conventions when Paul was there. And, you know, as we grew up as fans, so the fiction grew up with it. And these are much more adult orientated, and they're more traditional science fiction rather than just being Doctor Who. This Nightshade here by Mark Gatiss. Very familiar name, of course. Another one, Love and War. And these are being shown to you in published orders. This is from 1992 here. Transit, another author, Ben Aronovich, who came over from the main Doctor Who series. Carry on here. So you got Highest Science, Gareth Roberts. The Pit. And Deceit by Peter Darville Evans. Now he was the editor of this range, and we'll see his name come up a few more times. This one was a co-production, Lucifer Rising, Andy Lane and Jim Mortimer. David McKinty, another great genre writer. Remember doing a signing with him back in the day. Shadowmind, Christopher Bullis. Another one from Nigel Robinson. Really great jackets on these. They're really superb, aren't they? In the later ones, they actually credit the cover artist. Iceberg, David Banks, of course. He was cyber leader in a lot of the 80s Doctor Who stories. Another great one, Blood Heat, Jim Mortimer. So already we're going to need to make some room, so just pause there. So Virgin Books had purchased the old Target imprint back in 1989, and Virgin's new fiction editor, Peter Darvill Evans, then took over the range. Target's major output were novelizations, of course, of the televised stories, and Darvill Evans approached the BBC and asked if they could sort of fill in with the novels that had never been put into Target book form, and also to write brand new stories. But initially the BBC refused the license. However, once the television series had ended in 1989, Virgin were then granted the license to produce full-length original novels, continuing the story from the point at which the series had concluded, which was 1989. So that's why predominantly these all feature Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor. These are great covers here. Now there is a brand new book on the horizon as I film this, and if you've ever collected the Target books, of course, you know about the fantastic Target book reference book on the series by David Howe, published by Telos. Well, David has been busy this recent year producing a brand new book on the New Adventures series for the 30th anniversary of these, because these are 30 years old now, amazingly. And that one is due out very, very soon. So as soon as I get a copy, I will, of course, review it on the channel here. Another one there by Terrence Dix, Blood Harvest. So George has bagged all his books, and that's a very wise thing to do. And these are pretty much, George has bought these from brand new and kept them in tip-top form. Although he has read a fair few of them, he's a very careful reader like me. One thing we noticed, even though these were mint, a few of them are starting to yellow ever such a little bit. And I liken this to the fact that the books at the time, like a lot of books from the 90s onwards, have been printed on recycled paper. And this is causing them to prematurely age, perhaps a bit more than would be a normal book from this sort of age. So it's something to keep an eye out on. So do let me know in the comments, have your copies of these started to age, even though they've been kept in a really good environment? I'd be very curious to know. So a few more here. Strange England, Simon Messingham. We are looking at books now from 1994. Another one there. This one's also signed. This is when David McKinty came into our store. At the time he'd written some Doctor Who. I think he'd written a couple of Star Trek books as well, and some Stargate. And he signed all our stock, I remember. Another early book from Mark Gatiss. He actually had his break in writing in this Doctor Who New Adventures line. So following the Doctor Who TV movie in 1996, the BBC chose not to renew Virgin's Doctor Who license, choosing instead to publish their own line of original Doctor Who fiction. And maybe, just maybe, I might be able to tempt George to lend me all those as well, because there's an awful lot of them. So there were 61 in total New Adventures books, and 33 of the Missing Adventures, which, of course, I've already covered on this channel, and I'll put a link to those down below, because we did do the complete Missing Adventures books as well. The last book to get actually published was Dying Days, and this was the only book to feature the 8th Doctor. However, the actual final book to get published was So Vile a Sin, which was the 7th Doctor one, but that was because the author had issues with their getting the manuscript finished, I believe. Another one there by McGinty, also being signed. Cool stuff. Very, very good one here, Human Nature by Paul Cornell. Definitely one of the best ones. This is from 1995. Amazing to think this is 26 years old now. Certainly George's collection have been remarkably well preserved here. It's an Andy Lane, Original Sin. Sky Pirates. So as well as introducing new characters to the world of Doctor Who, the range also provided a showcase for new writing talent, and most notable of course was Paul Cornell, who wrote 5 of the novels, including the single most popular one according to Doctor Who magazine poll, which was Human Nature. Cornell of course went on to write the 2005 revival of the television series Father's Day, and also Human Nature / Family of Blood. That was the 2-part adaptation of the 38th New Adventure. Others who later on worked on the revived TV series included, of course, Mark Gatiss, Gareth Roberts, Matt Jones, Simon Winston and Gary Russell. Even Russell T Davies contributed to the range with his novel Damaged Goods. Gatiss and Roberts both did their first ever professional writing on the line, as did others who later found success elsewhere, including Daniel Blythe, Justin Richards, Andy Lane and Lance Parkin. There's an Aaron which one? A shakedown. Now this was interesting, of course, because this was actually an unofficial video that was released featuring the Sontarans. For the book, Terrance Dicks added in McCoy into the storyline. And there is Just War, was a very memorable one with the Nazis on the front cover. Okay, Ormond, she did loads. Death and Diplomacy. Fantastic to see these in such lovely condition as well. And there's the 50th one. Happy Endings. Got some familiar faces in that one, including the Brigadiers in this story, as I remember. Yeah, 50, featuring guest appearances from well-loved characters. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Brigadiers in it. Looks like Tegan on the front there as well. So we're just over halfway through all these now. So this is God Engine, Craig Hinton. And one thing we've not mentioned, of course, is the collectability of this line. I don't believe they actually had massive print runs. And I vaguely remember when we did a signing with Paul Cornell, I did sort of ask him how much you got paid, to write a new adventure. And I think he said it was something like, it was just a few £1,000s for the initial publication, and then you got like £1,000 for each reprint. Obviously this was quite a long time ago now. I'm sure authors get a bit more than that these days, but even so, I was surprised it wasn't a little bit more. Here's one by Russell T Davies there, Damaged Goods. And I believe this one was actually made years later by Big Finish into an audio drama. And they got Sylvester in to do the Doctor's voice. So Varlasin, that one's often regarded as a bit of a good one, isn't it? Still in 1996 here. Yeah, it seemed a bit cruel that when the series came back, that Virgin just suddenly had to give up the license. But they managed to keep it going a little bit longer, as we'll see in a minute. But yeah, some of these later ones, particularly in nice condition like this, have certainly become quite collectible. This one regularly fetches very, very good money online, usually 3 figures or more. I am going to do a little follow-up video on the books, and I'm going to do the sort of the most valuable of these new adventure novels. Both of these are quite expensive. This is the very last one to get published, and the only one with the 8th Doctor in. Yeah, so do look out for that follow-up video quite soon. So by this point, the series was not actually featuring the Doctor anymore. It was featuring the original character Bernice Summerfield. And this is the first one in that range by Paul Cornell. And I'm absolutely amazed. The character was so popular that it managed to hold the series so long as it did. And they do use, the Bernice Summerfields, they do use little elements of the TV series, as well as elements that were seen in the previous New Adventures books. So Bernice Summerfield, the character, she was obviously introduced earlier on in the New Adventures series as the lead character, starting by taking a job as a professor of archaeology at St. Oscar's University on the planet of Della. This new line, of course, was written by many of the familiar names who'd cut their teeth in the New Adventures series, of course. And it features elements that were introduced in this series and, of course, in the TV series itself. They just sort of miss having that Doctor Who logo on, don't they? They're just known as the NA, New Adventures. But they still keep the same style, and they are very much a part of the series, so you cannot ignore these. By Gary Russell. There's some great writing in here, so you might want to, if you're looking for a set, these have to be included, really. But I believe, Terence Dix again, I believe these ones here are all slightly harder to get your hands on than the earlier ones which feature the Doctor, and it may just be down to the print runs of them rather than anything else. Walking to Babylon. But it was such a rare treat to get the whole lot in one place at the same time. I certainly wanted to capture these on film. But as I said earlier, that new book from David Howe's on its way, and that will be telling the definitive story of the New Adventures book. So I heartily recommend you to get that one, because you just know how good it's going to be. I have seen a little flick through online, and it just looks superb. One thing George has got, and he's going to try and dig them out for next time we meet up, is he's got a load of cover proofs, because we would see the Virgin rep would come to the shop once a month or once every other month, and he would always drop in any related memorabilia to do with this series, and we were able to get the sales sheets, so they'll be really quite nice to have a look at, and probably quite rare as well. Really sort of, they just reek of science fiction, don't they? Just really good, solid SF. But these ones here, they are quite sought after, particularly in this nice condition like this. They just don't turn up in any great numbers, so I just don't think they sold that well. But we certainly sold them all in the shop, you know. We had every single one. This is 1999. We sold them all as they were getting published. And had it, you know, we had lots of people loyally collecting each one each month. The last few of the Virgin published ones now. But even when Virgin ran out, the series did not quite die, because those fine folks over at Big Finish picked up the torch. And here is the first of the Big Finish Bernice Summerfield books. So it's a different sort of cover design compared to the other ones. Professor Bernice Summerfield, they're numbered on the spine down there. And these ones themselves, these are 20 years old, I think. These are first published in November 2000, so these are 21 years old. Once again, these are quite scarce, you know, and worth trying to track down as part of your collection. Here's number 2, Stephen Cole. You got this last one here, which is the Dead Men Diaries, and that was like a compilation edited by Paul Cornell again. That was in 2000. So there they all are, quite a collection. Don't you agree? So look out for that follow-up video, which will be out quite soon, within the next couple of weeks, where I'll be going through at least the top 10 New Adventures rarities and just quite how collectible and valuable these books are today. So look out for that one soon. Thank you very much for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed it, do please give it the thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing for regular vintage paperback content, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.